Hey guys, Mike from the future here. Originally, I thought this was going to be the end of the OBJ saga. It appears as though we are in for a couple of twists and turns, including in this video. So I'm going to appear throughout multiple points in this video wearing this fit, and this is how you know it's me from the future again. Anyways, enjoy this video. I had to go in and re-edit it multiple times to make sure we got all the information for you guys.
No deal is imminent. Is expected to make a decision by the middle of last week. Understanding is everything is in a holding pattern for Odell Beckham and all the teams. They are moving forward now with what they have. So with all that discussion and all that chatter, it seems Beckham will be staying put for now.
I'm gonna be honest, this is my sixth take of this video because I've struggled mightily to hide my frustration with the conclusion of this entire situation. I feel misled, I feel like a pawn, and I feel stupid for once again giving a man attention when he clearly was just seeking attention. It's very disappointing, it's very frustrating. It's not necessarily the outcome I think any of us wanted, and I'm gonna try my best to stay professional and just bring you guys the news. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. If you want to enter for our holiday giveaways, make sure you're followed on Instagram and Twitter. And now that we get all of that out of the way, work! This video is sponsored by PrizePicks. You guys know PrizePicks has been my latest obsession because I live in California. There's no way that you could gamble on games in California, so the best way you could get action on games is through PrizePicks. And ever since I partnered with them, we've been having a lot of fun. And before we get to the latest promo, I want to give a huge shout out to my man, Nasri Hasbun, who tweeted me a six-legged pick that he hit on as a result of our last promo, which means he 25x'd his money. And that's freaking awesome. Hopefully more of my subs hit this big as a result of today's promo. As a matter of fact, it's not only today's promo, because from this day and on until Christmas Day, PrizePicks is releasing a brand new promo every day, and it's called Picksmas. All you have to do is download PrizePicks, use my promo code Mikerophone to get up to a $100 deposit match, and then just log into PrizePicks each and every day to see what they're offering for that day. Since they're offering a brand new promo each and every day, I'm probably going to be posting my picks onto my Instagram story. And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see I literally play PrizePicks each and every day. So huge shout out to PrizePicks for the sponsorship. Make sure you sign up with my promo code Mikerophone or the link in the description down below. And thank you, PrizePicks, for the sponsor. Mike check 1212. What's going on, everybody? I feel like this is pretty much what I do with former wide receivers that have been very spectacular in the NFL that are trying to reach for attention. Because once again, like Antonio Brown's situation in OBJ's case, I feel like I gave him exactly what he wanted. Now, of course, I know OBJ probably doesn't watch my videos, but this entire circus really just rubbed me the wrong way. I mean, remember, in the earlier part of November, OBJ was cleared from his ACL injury. You had the Dallas Cowboys consistently recruiting him, and it wasn't like an innocent thing. Like, OBJ would tweet whenever the Cowboys obliterated the Minnesota Vikings, and then you had multiple members of the Dallas Cowboys like DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons trying to recruit him. You had Mike McCarthy mentioning how much he would like to add him to the wide receiver room. You had Jerry Jones saying this.
Okay. But we're planning to get together.
What do you need to see from the medical?
Again, I'm just, we're certainly it's time for us to sit down and visit.
You had the Dallas Cowboys parading OBJ in a Letterman jacket all throughout American Airlines Center. And at this point, if you've been keeping up to date with this saga, you probably know all of these events by memory, because I do. That's how bizarre it's gotten. And once things started to get juicy, once we started to get into the meat of things, the one simple question was, okay, Odell, you know, you're about to pick your team, you're about to sign with the team, you're reportedly clear to play football. Could you give us a physical? Well, OBJ wasn't willing to work out for any teams. Well, the Dallas Cowboys just pretty much got the answer that they wanted from that point on. Odell doesn't seem to be able to play football until the end of the season. He even told Micah Parsons a couple weeks ago that he'll be ready in 5 weeks, which is, assuming that the Cowboys don't have a meltdown, would be when the Dallas Cowboys are in the playoffs. And this is where things got really frustrating, because the whole theme of this this video, and you'll see when we get to the end of this video, is why. Why go through all of this? What is the benefit of doing all of this? So let's start with it, man. In the very beginning, the teams that were in on OBJ were teams like the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs were the first to say, hey, we're gonna go in a different direction, and traded for Kadarius Toney from the New York Giants. I ultimately applauded them for this decision. You have so much time to figure out whether or not Kadarius Toney should be a part of your future. I mean, you have about 3 years if you include exercising his 5th-year option. So instead of signing a 30-year-old veteran wide receiver and trying to teach him your scheme, but coming off of his second ACL injury, you decided to trade for a player that was compared to Tyreek Hill coming out of college and see if you could develop him into a Tyreek Hill type of player. Immediately following that, all eyes shifted to the Cowboys, and the Cowboys really drew a lot of attention to this. I mean, what was Dez Bryant doing at the Mavericks game? I mean, no disrespect, it's just like Dez Bryant's everywhere now all of a sudden. I love Dez, and we have a documentary coming out on Dez's story, but what was he doing there? Okay, that aside, following this visit and following the reports that Odell Beckham Jr. wouldn't be able to play until playoffs, he straight up went on to the shop and said this.
I would like to be in a stable environment, get up 6 a.m., leave at 6 p.m., for 4 weeks, and then let's talk about it. I've played football for a long time. I'm not saying that I couldn't step in and play regular season, but I don't see the point. I really don't. Like, I would rather play when that pressure's on. I would rather play when the lights is on. Like, I went through the whole playoffs, and after having my first bad playoff experience, like, all I was ready for was to clear that off my name.
And then he kind of made a pitch to the New York Giants.
I don't feel like Saquon Barkley and I got to do what we were supposed to do.
And at this point, I thought it was a foregone conclusion that at some point or another, he's going to sign with the New York Giants, if he signs this year at all. And on top of that, New York Giants have a ton of cap space for 2023. It made a lot of sense to me. You got a beloved figure in the locker room, you got a potential wide receiver one, you got a guy that could bring the team together, and you definitely do some fan service as a result of this move. You also get Daniel Jones a little bit more comfortable as a result of this, and Saquon Barkley and Sterling Shepard would happily welcome back OBJ. But it looks like that isn't going to happen either, at least not for now. Then we got a couple of more stories, and as time went on, it seems like old news is becoming more and more apparent. Because following all of this, the Dallas Cowboys decided to sign T.Y. Hilton a couple of days ago, which we covered, which makes a lot more sense because, well, T.Y. Hilton could actually play in the regular season and wouldn't make his debut in the playoffs. And then shortly after, another team that was entertaining OBJ, following Von Miller saying repeatedly that Odell Beckham Jr. is going to come to Buffalo, following OBJ's visit with the Buffalo Bills, where they cooked him a full course meal. You had the Buffalo Bills going in a different direction at the wide receiver position as well, opting to sign Cole Beasley to a contract, which, to be honest, makes a lot more sense because Cole Beasley could play. And then you got additional info on this situation. Josina Anderson was saying that Cowboys would still be interested in Odell Beckham Jr. down the line. It doesn't mean they're necessarily out on OBJ, but you have this report from an NFL columnist that I trust, Charles Robinson, saying that the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants backed off of Odell Beckham Jr. in free agency because he misread his worth. It sounds really familiar here. I'm getting some subtle notes of Le'Veon Bell in this news. So what's going on here? Well, if you remember a few months ago, a nice individual by the name of Built in Buffalo tweeted that Odell Beckham Jr. is at the Buffalo airport per sources. The response to this is, we don't need him and his attitude. Boy, I love this. It's literally some guy with double-digit followers, and once Odell Beckham Jr. saw this, he had to respond, saying, LOL, LA did last year. Crazy how a guy can leave one team, go to another team, and there's two completely different stories about who I truly am. Oh, my B, I misread you. You meant my attitude about winning, and that I don't give a F about nothing else but that. And honestly, I don't really have much to comment on that, but OBJ would once again reaffirm that he wanted to be in LA, saying that LA knows where I wanted to be, but they didn't offer me anything. So I don't know what people want me to do. I know my worth, and what the offer was isn't reflective of that. So it's tough to say that I can come on back, even though I thought I finally found that home. Odell Beckham Jr. was expecting the cap-strapped LA Rams to offer him a Michael Gallup-like contract. And for obvious reasons, the Rams just didn't have the facilities for that. I mean, they owe Aaron Donald money, they owe Matthew Stafford money, they owe Jalen Ramsey a ton of money, they don't have any draft picks. I mean, this team is like completely out of all possible assets. That's a huge reason why they jumped on Baker Mayfield. They only needed to pay him like $1 million. And a Rams source even said, what is his worth and who is offering it to him? Because that's everyone's market, right? Now, the source mentioned that the Rams wanted a reunion with OBJ, but dude, you're coming off of an ACL tear, your second ACL injury of your career. Yeah, obviously it was from a botched procedure, and you did a phenomenal job with the Rams in a small sample size after having some bad years with the Browns, but it doesn't make sense for a team like the Rams to give you big money in the situation that they're in. Maybe sign with them for a year and then see what happens the next year, because you would have literally been paid to rehab all year long if that was the direction you went in. And the article even mentions that OBJ seems to know his worth, but the Cowboys didn't give it to him, the Giants didn't give it to him, the Buffalo Bills didn't give it to him, no Super Bowl contenders are giving it to him. And honestly, after the Dallas Cowboys signed T.Y. Hilton, you kind of get the idea of what direction they wanted to go in. I mean, T.Y. Hilton is getting $600K for the remaining 4 games this season. We'll get $50,000 in bonuses for each of those games that he's on the team's active roster, and he can land up to $700K in postseason incentives. A team source told Yahoo Sports that the Cowboys were ready to offer OBJ more money than that if a deal had been discussed. However, it would have been heavily incentivized and short-term in nature. And according to this article, that's just not what OBJ is interested in. It might be the market, but it's not the market inside Beckham's head. So OBJ is expecting to be paid like he's coming off of multiple 1,000-yard receiving seasons, and it seems like he just played this horrifically. Now, in regards to the Buffalo Bills, this is what they had to say about the odds that they sign OBJ. General Manager Brandon Beane made it clear that this signing does not prevent the team from remaining in the sweepstakes to land free agent wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. And now you might be thinking, okay, well, this is where we stand. What's going to happen moving forward? Well, it appears as if the expectation for OBJ at this point is that he is going to wait to sign with the team in 2023 free agency. Now you can see why I'm so annoyed. I mean, after donning cowboy Letterman jackets, getting multi-course meals, traveling from team to team to team, tweeting about the progress of a specific team, literally flirting with that team, only to reveal to everyone that you can't play until the playoffs, which is a pipe dream at most at this point. And the most likely thing that is going to happen for you is you're going to sign in the offseason. I'm just a little disappointed. Honestly, I don't blame the past version of myself for being disappointed. After going through multiple videos and all these twists and turns, only to originally be led to believe that Odell Beckham Jr. is just going to wait until the 2023 offseason to sign with the team. I mean, I think anyone would be disappointed at that point. It's like, what was the whole purpose of this gigantic circus to begin with? It's pretty much how I felt when I watched the finale of Game of Thrones or How I Met Your Mother. I felt like there should have been more, and I felt very disappointed at the conclusion of the story. Luckily for us, it doesn't seem like that's where the story is going to go, because according to multiple sources, including John Clark, Bobby Belt, and most importantly, the one we trust the most, Ari Meirov, according to Jerry Jones, the Dallas Cowboys are very close to signing Odell Beckham Jr. So here's what it has to say. First, let's show you Ari Meirov. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones told @JarrettBell of USA Today that there's a good chance Odell Beckham Jr. signs with them soon and will play for them in the postseason, saying Odell's going to join us. Ari Meirov also cited probably the most important piece of this article, where he said, Jerry Jones on OBJ, Odell's going to join us. There's a good chance he will, with the complete goal of getting ready for a playoff game or two. And then I'll look into the future. I'm hopeful that we can get into some important games and have some Deion Sanders type results. Wow, that's a parallel that would get any Dallas Cowboys fans' panties wet. Here's what he also had to say about Odell. He's been working out, and of course, he's extraordinary. I'm hopeful we can get into some important games and have some Deion Sanders type results. Could this be possible to have a great player like that and get into 2 or 3 playoff games and make some significant plays. I think very much so. That's not an exaggerated thought at all. The article also said that Jerry Jones is willing to gamble aggressively on the prospects of adding a significant weapon. The great ones, the extraordinary ones, have an ability to make a play or two in a game that can be the difference in a world championship or not. It's kind of against the principles of all the practices, the repetition that you do for football. It's against that, but the reality is it happens, and that's been my motivation. Now, that should be exciting for Dallas Cowboys fans for sure, but there are some things that are a little alarming about this report, coming from additional sources at this point. According to Jane Slater, everyone that they've talked to so far says that Jerry Jones is driving the bus on this one, so stand by. That is something that, as a Cowboys fan, really concerns me, because over the past decade, the Dallas Cowboys steered clear of very Jerry Jones-esque type moves, except for the signing of Greg Hardy and, of course, bringing back Aldon Smith recently. The Cowboys have steered clear of trying to make the splashy move that would get their names in headlines consistently. I mean, they drafted Zach Martin over Johnny Manziel, and that's honestly all I could have ever asked for. So the fact that Jerry Jones is driving the bus on this one, as a Cowboy fan, concerns me for sure. And I'll admit, as a Cowboy fan, man, it sounds nice to get OBJ back for 1, 2, or 3 playoff games, but with all due respect, and I say this as a Cowboy fan, the assumption that we can make it past 1 playoff game, like win 1 playoff game, when we have had the most disgusting history since 1995, the last time we won a Super Bowl in the playoffs, I don't know. I just think it's a funny assumption to make right off the bat. And I hope that this move, if it happens, could result in the Cowboys having more success. It's just a really funny thing to say. Probably the most important part about this is Jerry Jones said when we could expect the deal to be official. According to this report, Jerry Jones didn't reveal the financial details, but said he expects that the star wide receiver, who is coming off of an ACL surgery after being injured in Super Bowl 56 for the LA Rams, will be signed to a contract for the rest of the season. The deal could become official, Jones maintained, after the Cowboys try winning a 5th consecutive game on Sunday at the Jacksonville Jaguars. I honestly hope the report comes out on Sunday because I leave town on Monday. I'm taking my parents and my brother and sister to Dubai, Turkey, and Israel. So if news gets out to you guys a little bit late, or if the editing quality is a little unusual, that's why. But as of this report, man, the fact that Jerry Jones won't reveal the financial details makes it very difficult for me to tell you how I feel about this. Because if Jerry Jones comes out and signs Odell Beckham Jr. to like a 4-year, $50 million contract without even seeing him play a single snap or watching him work out, I would personally be pissed. I would think that's a boneheaded decision. But what I'm hoping is happening here is OBJ tested the market and really saw what his value currently is. He's a star player and he's one of the most iconic wide receivers of this past decade. He's also a lot of fun to watch and people love him for a reason. But at the end of the day, he is still coming off of an ACL tear. We haven't seen him play since that Super Bowl. And what I'm hoping is that they came to an agreement to sign a 1 or 2 year contract that at least financially makes sense. And I honestly don't know what to expect because I could see both scenarios playing out at this point. Obviously, I'd be pissed off if they signed him to a long-term contract, but I would hope that Jerry Jones is a little bit more intelligent than that. But at the same time, I don't think we've ever seen a time in NFL history where a player was literally signed just to play through the playoffs on a 1-year deal. I mean, theoretically, the Cowboys could be signing OBJ just to play in 1 game, and if they lose that game, that could be it. I was originally going to wait for the signing to become official. If this report is true that the signing's official on Monday, my hands are a little bit more tied because I might not be here on Monday, and also this video's run a little bit longer than I anticipated, so I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.